Okay, in this lesson, we are going to talk about dividing decimals by decimals. And by the end of this lesson, you should be able to say, I can divide with decimals. If I have the problem 2 and 35/100ths divided by 5/10ths, I first need to rewrite the problem, making the divisor, that 5/10ths, a whole number. And we talked about this in the last unit. If I multiply the divisor by 10, since 5/10ths is the number I have, it simply moves the decimal over one spot. If I do it in the divisor, I also have to do it in the dividend. So I would multiply 2 and 35/100ths by 10, which would give me 23 and 5/10ths. This is useful because I need my divisor to be a whole number in order to divide. So when I rewrite this problem, I get 23 and 5/10ths divided by 5. Then I can work that out. And when I divide, I get 2 and 7/10ths as my quotient. Let's look at another example. If I have the number 664 thousandths and I want to divide it by 4/10ths, the problem I'm having is that I have a decimal in my divisor, and I can't. I need to have a whole number. Now remember, it's okay to have a decimal in your dividend, just not the divisor. So if I take 4/10ths and multiply it by 10, I get 4. Notice it's the same thing as if I just move my decimal over one place to the right. If I do it in the divisor, I have to do it in the dividend. So I'm going to move this decimal over one place, or multiply 664 thousandths by 10. This gives me 6 and 64 hundredths divided by 4. Now, since I have a whole number in my divisor, I can divide. And when I divide, I get a quotient of 1 and 66 hundredths. In this example, I have 732 thousandths divided by 3 hundredths. Now, since I have 3 hundredths, that tells me I need to multiply that by 100. And when I do that, I get 3, or simply move the decimal 2 places to the right. If I do it in the divisor, though, I have to do it in the dividend. So my new problem is 73 and 2/10ths divided by 3. When I find the quotient, I get 24 and 4/10ths. If I wanted to rewrite this division problem, 1 and 5/10ths divided by 2 thousandths, I would have to take 2 thousandths and multiply it by 1,000, which will give me 2. Or simply move the decimal over 3 places to the right. But if I do it in the divisor, I have to do it in the dividend. And in this case, since I'm out of digits, I need to add in zeros as placeholders. So my new problem would be 1,500 divided by 2. And now I can find my quotient, which is 750. If I have a problem written this way, 16 and 4/10ths divided by 2 hundredths, remember that first number always is going to go in the garage. So if I were to rewrite this problem, 16 and 4/10ths divided by 2 hundredths. Either way, I look at my divisor and notice 2 hundredths needs to be turned into a whole number. So I'm going to take that 2 hundredths and multiply it by 100, or just move the decimal 2 places to the right. If I do it in the divisor, I have to do it in the dividend, and in this case, I have to put in a 0 as a placeholder because I only have one spot past the decimal in my dividend, and there needs to be 2, so I can move the decimal 2 places. Once I've rewritten my problem, 1,640 divided by 2, I can divide, and I get 820. Let's look at another. Remember that first number is the dividend when a problem is written horizontally. So it would really be 102 and 4/10 divided by 4/100. I have to turn 4/100 into a whole number. So I do that by multiplying 4/100 times 100 to get 4, or move the decimal 2 places to the right. If I do it in the divisor, I have to do it in the dividend, and in this case, I need to add a 0 as a placeholder because I needed to move the decimal 2 times, but in my original problem, my dividend only had 1 decimal digit, so I had to add a 0. Once I've rewritten this problem, 10,240, I can divide it by 4. And when I find my quotient, I get 2,560. If I were to rewrite this problem by making the divisor a whole number, I would put 1,728 10,000ths in the garage because that is my dividend. And 9,000ths is my divisor. I need to turn 9,000ths into a whole number. So I would take my 9,000ths and multiply it by 1,000 to get 9. Or move the decimal 3 places to the right. And if I do it in the divisor, I also have to do it in the dividend. So when I rewrite my problem, I get 172 and 8/10 divided by 9. And when I find my quotient, I get 19 and 2/10. Now it's your turn. Rewrite each of these problems so that your divisor is a whole number. Then find the quotient. You can pause the video now and do these 4 problems in your notebooks. Don't forget to WSQ. As always, you can pause the video at any point, rewind it and watch the whole video again or any parts that might be confusing.